Good. Everybody, everything good? Good food. This is great. Thank you to our servers. Gentlemen, thank you very much for serving, and we honor you, too, for the service that you're giving. Thank you. So we wanted to just take a little bit of time here to just, Sherry and I wanted to share one way in which our moms have significantly impacted us or shaped us with one lesson. And in the process, wanted to just encourage you to begin to think about one thing. I'm sure many of you could come up with many things, but at least one thing that your mother has done that has significantly shaped you in a positive way into the person that you are today. All right? Babe, why don't you start? Tell us one thing that your mother has done or has demonstrated for you that has helped create the amazingly wonderful and beautiful lady that you are today.
All right. Well, I think the most important thing that stands out to me is that she created within me the spirit to make memories. And I have just a couple of thoughts that really stand out to me. And one of them was, it was nothing for our family. I come from a family of 6. I have 4 siblings and then my parents. And my dad would go to work, and my mom was a school bus driver. So in the summertime, she had off, and she would stay home with us kids. It was nothing for us to get up, maybe, we would do this maybe once a month, where we would walk, all of us, including we were pretty little. Like, I might have been before my teenage years. All 4 of us would take a walk to my dad's work, which was like 23 miles, something like that. To his work, we would do it before lunch, pick him up McDonald's on the way, surprise him, sit down and eat lunch with him, and then we'd walk back home. And so I remember, we thought that was a blast, that my mom would courageously take all of us kids. I didn't realize how courageous it was until now, but to walk that whole distance and then walk back home, and we loved it. Another really great memory that I have is one time we had like 3 or 4 feet of snow, and I remember we'd get our buckets that we used for summertime in the sand, and we took them out, piled them with snow, and packed it in there and turned them upside down, and we made this huge igloo that my whole entire family could fit into. And we just piled them on top, and iced them down because it was cold. And we had this igloo for quite a while. But that night, I remember my dad went out to the garage and grabbed an extension cord and a light and hooked it up in the igloo. And my mom popped popcorn. And we had this amazing moment in our igloo. So I remember just doing little fun things, and my mom was a big part of that. And then obviously, something that I brought with me is every year we would take a vacation, whether we spent a lot of money or we spent no money. We always took a week and went and done something, and I think that's really important. Those memories I hold with me. Even to this day, they're very vivid in my mind, and I thank my mom for being a part of that, or instilling that within me.
Yeah, you have done a great job because my family memories weren't a big deal. We just lived life, and you've helped to shape our family. So now that I am thinking that way too, like, let's make memories, and it's a really important thing. So,
Absolutely.
Very cool. So one thing that my mom probably did that impacted me the most when I was young, my dad drove truck, and he would be gone for weeks, literally weeks, and sometimes without coming home at all, he'd be gone. And so my mom just stayed in the game and just showed up and did what had to be done. And he didn't make a lot of money doing that. So I remember there were times it was pretty tough financially. And my mom never complained, never said bad things about Dad. Just showed up and did what had to be done. And I think probably for me that's one of the things that's been so significant is just the value of just showing up and doing what has to be done without a lot of complaining, without a lot of whining. Just do what has to be done, and so I'm grateful to my mom, for modeling that and demonstrating that. So, well, there you go. A couple things about our mom, and I'm just encouraging you to begin to think about one thing that your mom has done or has showed you that has proved to be an important part of your life. And the truth is, again, for some there may be a lot. For others, there may be not much. But at the very minimum, your mom went through the pain to bring you into this world. And so if that's it, then embrace that and give her honor for that, because that's a good thing. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So, babe, thanks for joining me today. You are absolutely the most lovely co-host I have ever worked with. I love you. Thank you. All right. I cut her hair, by the way, last night. Does that look good? Huh? All right. No, I didn't cut her hair. All right. Well, we want to do this. There's a Mother's Day video that I need you to see. And I think if you're a mom in this room, you're absolutely going to identify with what's about to go on the screen. Are you ready? All right, here we go.
I'm a mom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm a mom, 365 all day, all week. 5:30 a.m. and I can't sleep. My boo snores hard and my shorties scream. The day starts off, I pack the lunches, write a note on the bag. It says, I love you bunches. Roll up to the school in my Escalade. I wish it's just a Chevrolet. I lean in for a kiss as they roll their eyes. So I roll down the window, scream, Mama loves you guys. What's up? I am the coupon queen. Bargain shopping at the store in my cool mom jeans. BOGO, homie, that's buy one, get one free. You know we go hard to fill the pantry. Loading up the car, my daughter gets hyper. The smell hits my nose, it's a poopy diaper. Oh snap, the smell made him sick. Next thing I know, I am catching vomit. I'm a mom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm a mom, 365 all day, all week. I'm a mom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm a mom, 365 all day, all week.
I finally get a little bit of time to breathe. Little fingers under the door and they're searching for me. Every day, every night, I hear mommy, mommy, mommy. What keeps me going is my grande coffee. Sugar, cream, some extra caffeine. No matter how much I pick up, this place never feels clean. Homegirl keeps it sanitary, that's my swag. You know I stay strapped with sanitizer in my bag.
Roll up at the end of the day. Soccer practice, softball, a little ballet. Hold up. Are you seriously gonna just sit there and watch Duck Dynasty while I do all the dishes and get the kids ready for bed? Psh. Dinner's done, and the house is a wreck. My baby daddy's sitting down with his chair way back. Here we go. Time to get him to sleep. Do it all again tomorrow with my favorite piece. I'm a mom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm a mom, 365 all day, all week. I'm a mom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm a mom, 365 all day, all week. I'm a mom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm a mom, 365 all day, all week. I'm a mom. Word to your mother.
So here's the thing about that song. That will stick in your head now, because I've seen it several times, and now I'll ride down the road like, I'm a mom, 24 hours a day. All right, so anyways. So, well, listen, happy Mother's Day. We are so blessed that you're in this room, and we love you. And, Mom, we know that you have some extraordinary responsibilities and expectations that are placed on your shoulder on a regular basis. In fact, just yesterday, I watched as Sherry ordered pizza on the phone, answered a question, told another person to wait while she was answering that question, rolled her eyes at me for not answering one of the questions, and drove all at the same time. It was unbelievable. And yeah, absolutely. So Mom, listen, we know this about you. If you were not in our lives, the quality of our life would absolutely drop by like 75%. And here's how we know. Because when you're gone for an evening, it really does drop by like 75%. It just is crazy. You walk in and you're like, what have you done? right? So we are genuinely grateful. And we know that we need to be more helpful. We know that. So I found a list of 20 things that your kids could say to you that would simply, first of all, it would blow your mind, and secondly, it would make your life tremendously easier if they would actually do this. And so, dads, I want to encourage you to encourage your kids to say this and to help them actually live this out. And so I'm going to read you some of this list. The entire list will be posted on our Facebook page, facebook.com/mychurch180. It'll be posted on there later today. So let me just give you some things that if your kids were to say these to you, it would make your life so much easier. For instance, Mom, I'm happy to eat whatever you've made me for dinner, and even if it's broccoli. I know how hard you work to feed me, and I really appreciate it. Would that be great? How about this? Mom, instead of screaming, I've decided to sit quietly and think about all of the amazing things that you do for me. This is going to take a while. This actually is pretty spot on. Mom, I think I'll keep my shoes on in the car instead of kicking them off for no reason, causing us to spend 20 minutes searching for the one shoe that is somehow lost under all of the other toys that I've left in the car. Yeah. How about this one? Mom, I didn't make a mess at dinner, and I kept all my crumbs on my plate. I never realized it was this easy. I think I can do this from henceforth, all right? Here's a good one. Mom, there's no need to worry. Your iPhone is sitting right here on the coffee table where you left it. I didn't touch it, nor did I kill your battery by walking around the house taking pictures of everyone else's feet. Now, this is true, and this is for kids who are older. They could say, Mom, your phone is where where it was, and I didn't take it or take a ton of selfies. This week, I had to actually delete over 600 selfies off my phone. I know I'm not a mom, but it happens to you, right? Your kids get their phone and they like photobomb your phone. Does that happen to anybody else in this room? Yes, okay, all right. That'd be amazing if your kids said that to you. How about this one? Mom, I'm just going to go to the bathroom before we leave on this trip. Yeah. Mom, would you mind if I skipped all the stalling that I normally do before I go to bed? I know it's been a long day and you could probably use some downtime, a glass of Merlot. Last one, how about this? Look at that, Mom. I've already brushed my teeth. Amazing. So, Mom, I hope you hear some of these things from your kids and maybe even from your adult children. That'd be good. And I hope you hear them today. So I want to ask you a really important question, all right? And we're going to kind of revolve the morning around this question. The question is this: what's in there? What's in there? So a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to New York. And as I was getting ready to leave from Charlotte, I said to Sherry, I was flying out, and I said to Sherry, I'm like, that'd be crazy if they like stop me and search me. You know, I mean, I'm like the antithesis of terrorist, right? And this was after I'd shaved my beard, by the way. So I got in there, and I'm cruising through, shoes off, belt off, laptop off, all the stuff, you know. And they said, excuse me, sir, you need to step to the side. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, you need to step to the side. And they said, you actually need to step over there and stay away from your luggage. I'm like, really? Like, all I had was a little carry-on handbag, you know? And handbag, not a purse, handbag. And so then they said, do you mind if we frisk you? I'm like, really? And so they said, we can take you into a back room or we can do it right here. And immediately, every bad story I've read about backroom frisking went through my head. I'm like, man, let's just do it right here, right? So, I mean, everything. There was no part they left unsearched. And I'm like, what? Like, why are you doing this? And they're ripping through my bag and like, why are you doing this? And they said, we found traces of something that's explosive in your bag. Like, I've got shampoo and powder and deodorant, you know? Like, I don't know what it was. I asked them, like, what was in the bag so I can avoid this on my next trip? But they weren't sure. But the point was, there was something in that bag that was potentially destructive that they identified. And they pulled me back, and they frisked me, and they delayed me, and it was just this huge inconvenience because of something that they found in that bag. Now, I think that people in general are a lot like that. We carry a lot of things inside of us. And quite frankly, there's a lot of beauty in us. There's a lot of goodness. There's a lot of wonderful and nice things inside of us. But from time to time, there are things that are potentially destructive inside of us, especially when mixed with other components. Now, there are some things which by themselves will cause no harm, but when you mix them with another component, when you put them together with another ingredient, then you have a problem. And my guess is that every single person in this room has something inside of you that you're carrying in you. And moms, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to everybody in general, right? I'm guessing that there's something inside of us that when exposed to the right ingredients is potentially destructive. Now, one of my favorite lines about moms in the Bible comes from the story of Jesus when he was just a little man, and his mother, after she had given birth to him, listen, if you don't know the story of Jesus, I encourage you to read Matthew chapter 1 and 2 and Luke chapter 1 and 2, because it's a really unique, it's an odd story. If it happened today, I guarantee you it would be on the cover of the National Enquirer, because it's just that unique. It's extraordinary. Christians call it a miracle. It's a unique thing. It's not been duplicated. It was odd, right? And it was even odd for Mary, because when she first learned that she was pregnant with the Son of God, she's like, what? This can't be. So anyways, after all of this went down and she had actually given birth to Jesus, a group of shepherds heard about the birth of Jesus. And I just want to read you from Luke. Luke is one of the biographers of Jesus. There were 4 men who wrote a biography of Jesus: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We call them the Gospels. They're in our Bible. And Luke writes this, and he said, after the shepherds heard about this is what he said. They hurried to the village, and they found Mary and Joseph, because they'd heard there's a baby, the Son of God, the Messiah has been born. So they hurried there, they found him, and they said, let's go to Bethlehem. Let's see this thing that's happened. And so they did. They went and found Mary and Joseph, and there was the baby lying in the manger. After seeing him, the shepherds told everyone what had happened and what the angel had said to them about this child, and all who heard the story were astonished, just like you and I would be. We're like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, you're out watching your sheep, and all of a sudden there's angels, and they're saying the Son of God. That's crazy. Well, that's how these people responded. That's crazy. But then this sentence happens in the story. But Mary kept all these things in her heart and thought about them often. Now, Mary had this unique experience. It was crazy. It was extraordinary. It was just unique, right? But she did something that every other person does, in that she kept it in her mind, and she kept it in her heart, and she processed it often. And she thought much about it. She thought much about her experience, and much that was a memory that lingered forever. There was a lot going on in there. And I would just say this, you have things that have happened to you in your life that have lodged themselves in your heart, that have lodged themselves in your mind, and they stay there. And you think about them often. And they shape the way you do life, and they shape your attitudes, and they shape your beliefs. Now, your story started with mom. Like, that was the first part of your story, mom, then you, right? But hers didn't start with you. Mom's story did not start with you. My mom's story did not start with me. There were chapters in my mom's story before me. And there were chapters in your mom's story long before you. And so when I think about moms, I wonder what happened in those chapters before you that stayed in her heart and mind. I wonder what happened in the story before you that shaped your mom's memories, that shaped her attitudes, that shaped her beliefs, that those experiences she had. What are those things that she thought about often, that she kept in her heart? So, Henry Cloud and John Townsend, these, by the way, anything that these guys write, Henry Cloud, John Townsend, amazing authors. I encourage you to pick it up. I just bought another book of theirs yesterday called Henry Cloud, called The Power of Others. It's supposedly a top-notch book, so I'm excited to read it. But anyways, they wrote a book called The Mom Factor, dealing with the mother you had, didn't have, or still contend with, all right? And in this book, I just need to read to you a page from this book. They say, every 6 seconds, I don't know if that's, I'm guessing that's probably a bit of a stretch, in other words, all the time, all right? Every 6 seconds, another adult alternates between resentment, anger, guilt, fear, and confusion about an ongoing interaction with a mother. In other words, all the time we're thinking like our moms consume. I mean, we think about them a lot. Like sometimes we're frustrated with them. Sometimes we wish they were different. Sometimes we wish they would say something. We wish they wouldn't say something. We wish they would show up. We wish they would go away. I mean, so basically in his book, he's saying like, as adults, like mom takes up some space on our radar. Most people want a comfortable, mutually satisfying friendship with that very significant person in our life, our mother. But the reality falls far short of the ideal. You may experience mother trouble in several areas, and he gives a list of areas that might be a point of contention between you and your mom. You're unable to communicate with her. She does not respect your choices or your values. She refuses to accept your family and friends. You feel like you have a lack of freedom to have a separate life without losing her love. You're disconnected from and misunderstood by her. You have a difficulty in saying no to her and confronting her. You have to hide your real self and try to be perfect around her. You feel responsible to make her think that she's perfect. You feel responsible to make her think that she's perfect. I just read that again, right? You feel guilt when you don't take care of her as she wants you to. There's a sense of disillusionment and conflict over her interactions with your spouse. There's guilt over not living up to her expectations and wishes. Sorrow that she can't seem to comprehend your pain. You feel childlike in her presence. There's frustration over her seeming self-absorption. It's like cringing when she treats your children in familiar, hurtful ways. And you feel discouraged that this list is so long. I mean, the truth is, all of us, even though we've had some kind of a great mom, this is what they say. The list could go on, but it points to a fundamental truth. Our relationship with our mother, either in the past or present, hasn't left us where we want to be. Now, that's discouraging, isn't it? But I want to go somewhere with this. This is really important. You have a mom, right? But your mom had a mom. And out of that relationship, she packed things into her heart and her mind. Your mom had a series of memories and a series of experiences. She began to develop ideas and attitudes and beliefs. Before you ever came into existence, those things are in her. Very likely she had some great experiences and some great memories, and she may have and probably did pass a lot of those on to you. But because of the nature of humanity, none of us are perfect, in other words, she undoubtedly carried a few things that are potentially destructive, and she very likely passed those things on to you as well. Those things that she kept in her heart, in her mind, those things that she thought about often, those things that drove her to certain behaviors, it's very likely that she, as much as she maybe didn't even want to or didn't know that she was doing it, it's very likely that she passed those same things on to you. Again, Cloud and Townsend say this: our relationship with our mother, either in the past or the present, hasn't left us where we want to be. And so I would just say this. When you look at your mom, when you remember your mom, if she's deceased, it's fair to wonder, what's in there? What is in there? What are the things that she thinks about? What are the things that consume her mind? What are the experiences that she reflects on over and over and over in her heart? And I'm fairly confident that every single one of us, if we were to really know the heart of our mom, we would have to say this: there are things I never knew that she wrestled with. There are experiences I didn't know she had. There were memories that haunted her that I was never aware of. There are things in her life that I do not fully understand. There are things in mom that I don't know about. And even if she told me, I couldn't fully carry the weight that she's carried with her. And the truth is, it's out of those things that she's put into her heart and her mind and that she's carried with her, that she's mothered you. And I like to say it like this: it's out of her pain that she parented, and out of her memories she mothered. It's those things that she has in her heart and her mind. Now, when it comes to Mother's Day, believe it or not, when it comes to mom, some people hate Mother's Day. I remember once we did this, and a lady walked in, and as soon as she saw it, she stormed out because she said, I can't honor my mom like this. And there are lots of people who hate Mother's Day and who hate moms. Now, there are some people who I don't hate her. whatever. So they ignore mom, right? Mom's just someone, I'm glad she was there. I'm glad she gave birth to me, and that's it. They just ignore mom. There are other people who tolerate mom, right? Well, I guess it's time for Mother's Day. Got to go eat the obligatory Mother's Day lunch, and they tolerate mom. And then there are some who love and adore their mom, right? I'd like to suggest another option to all of that. Another option for us when it comes to dealing with mom, all right? Because mom is an important part of our life. Whether we like her or not, she is a critical part of the story of our life. And here's the option I'd like to suggest. Love her and fill in the blanks. Love mom and fill in the blanks. Now, here's what I mean by that. To love someone, our leader Jesus said it like this. He said, look, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do for other people what you would like them to do for you. I want you to do for other people what you would like them to do for you. So I think if I were in that situation, I would want my child to ask, why is he like this? Ask why. Why does mom act like that? Why does mom behave like that? Why doesn't mom show up when I need her most? Why does mom seem to always want control? Why is she like that? And that's a fair question. And the answer is probably the result of two different things coming together. Number one, what was done to your mom? Long ago, or maybe not so long ago, what has been done to your mom? In other words, what's in there? Mom, what's in your memories? What are your experiences? What has been done to my mom? And the second thing that we would respond with is, how did you respond to it? What's been done to my mom and how has she responded? Those two things give us the answers to the question, why is she like this? Now, this first question, what was done to her or what was not done to her that she needed? This should move us to compassion. Now, this is really important, so lean into this. When you know what happened, doesn't it change the way you think about a person? So I have some neighbors who are, when we first moved in, they're not tremendously nice or considerate. And in fact, belligerent might be a great way to describe them. If you're watching online, it's not you, right? Right, it's the other side. But you know what I found out? I found out that for years, mom has been in and out of the hospital for long periods of time with a rare blood disease. And all of a sudden, I began to understand and see things differently. This is a family for whom life is not easy. That doesn't mean I still wish they'd take it down a notch, right? But the point is, it makes understanding, it makes compassion a little more likely to happen because I realize, they're not just this way without a cause. This is a family that's had to fight hard to make life work. This is a family that at some point had to say, we've got to care about our family first and above all else. I would just simply say, when you're processing mom, asking why is she like this, asking the question, what has been done, what are her memories, what are her experiences that lead her to act and believe and think and do these kinds of things that drive me crazy or whatever, this should move us to compassion as we begin to discover more of mom's story and more of mom's memory. And I would just say this to you, though you may never find out all of mom's story and all of mom's experiences, assume something happened. Because if we live in this world, something will happen that will break our heart at some point. Am I right? You cannot live in this world without having a broken heart at some point. I don't mean to be pessimistic, simply mean to be real. At some point, something's going to be happen, and the way you respond to it will be significant, but something will happen. So I would say as you begin to process this question, in an effort to love mom well, ask, why is she like this? What has been done to her or not been done to her? How was she treated or not treated? Why? What are the things in her memories and her experiences that cause her to conduct herself like this? The second, we said we want to love mom. We want to love her now by asking, why is she like this? What happened to her? How did she respond to that? This is an opportunity. Not every person, mom or not mom, responds in a healthy way to pain or disappointment or discouragement or abuse or neglect or any of those things. A lot of people don't respond in a healthy way and they pass that on. I would just say to you, this is an opportunity for forgiveness. Had the opportunity this week to talk with a young man who's been through some incredible experiences. And I asked about his father, and I asked about his father's father. And it turns out that his father's father had hurt his father, who in turn hurt his son. And it rung true again, that old saying we talk a lot about, that hurting people hurt people. Healthy people don't hurt people. Hurting people, people with broken hearts, people with discouragement, people with disappointment, people with neglect, etc. Hurting people hurt people. And I would just say, if your mom is lashed out, it might be because she's hurting. And I would just say this is an opportunity for us to forgive. Now, we love our mom, regardless of who she is or what she's done or what she's not done. The challenge is for us to love her with compassion and forgiveness. Compassion and forgiveness. See, the truth is simply this. Living with bitterness and hatred and anger and carrying grudges in your heart towards your mom is not going to help you or your children. In fact, Solomon wrote in Proverbs, he said this, he said, foolish children despise their mother. And I don't think he was talking just about little children, because little children grow up into adults. And I would just say, if you're an adult who's carrying anger and bitterness and hatred and grudge in your heart towards your mom, this will lead you to a life that's small and foolish. I would encourage you to move strongly towards compassion and forgiveness as an expression of your love for your mom, even though she may have been imperfect. I would just say, don't ruin your life because of what was in your mother's heart. Don't ruin your future. Don't ruin your kids because of the things that your mom kept in her heart and mind and thought about often. Love her by having compassion towards her and by forgiving her. But then there's this second part. We want to love her, but we want to fill in the blanks, and this is really critical. It's right to love your mom. It's right to forgive your mom. It's right to have compassion towards your mom. But it may not be enough. It may not be enough to just love your mom. And by the way, this applies to dads as well. You see, a lot of parents, but in particular today, we're talking about mom. She parented out of her pain. She mothered out of her memories. And that will leave blanks in your life. There are going to be blanks in your life. And you know what happens when you don't fill in blanks on the test? What happens? You fail. And the same is absolutely true in life. If you live life with lots of unfilled blanks, you're going to fail. You're going to live with anger and bitterness and hostility, and you will pass that on to your children. And someday I'm going to have this conversation with your kids. At some point, loving mom by forgiving her with compassion and love, that's a great route to take, but it might not be enough. There are still blanks in your life that you have to fill. Now, you're an adult. We're adults. Now we have to take the initiative to fill in these blanks in our life that mom didn't fill. And by the way, the reason she maybe didn't fill those is because she had unfilled blanks in her life. So, if you are going to grow and fill in these blanks, it's your initiative. And you have to fill in those blanks. Now, Cloud and Townsend, again, they write this. When we aren't mothered perfectly, and none of us are, you haven't been, and your mom wasn't, and her mom wasn't, and her mom wasn't, right? When we aren't mothered perfectly, read this next word with me, please. God will provide others to fill in the gaps. That's huge. When we aren't mothered perfectly, God will provide others to fill in the gaps. He can redeem our early experience, either building on the good our mother did, and I'm sure that she did some good, right? Or providing basic essentials our mother may have missed. That point is significant. Because for the last 2 weeks, we've talked about church as a second chance at family. Some grew up in homes that were amazing, and people look at your family like, man, that's what we want our family to be like. Some grew up in homes, and you were like, I never want my kids to experience what I experienced growing up. But how do I do that? I don't know how to be a dad. I don't know how to be a mom. I don't know how to do this. Church is your second chance at family. Now, I love my parents to death. I'm going to go eat lunch with them today. But they left blanks in my life. There are blanks that they did not fill. And even though I'm trying to the best of my ability to leave no blanks in my kid's life, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some unfilled blanks in their life, things I didn't get, things I did wrong. I'm trying not to, but it's going to happen. But what I've found, and I'm finding people, even people in this room right now, are helping me fill in those blanks that have been left by my parents, whose parents left them with blanks, whose parents left them with blanks, whose parents left them with blanks. I'm finding people to fill in those blanks. And that's what the church does. It's a place where men and women grow together. It's a place where some are serving as fathers and mothers, figures who go ahead of us and show us how to live. It's a place where others are serving as brothers and sisters, strong, healthy relationships. Now, I know that today is Mother's Day, but something happened here yesterday that was really cool, and it illustrates what can happen in the church. Look at this. We had a men's breakfast, right? And there were 22 guys here, and it was really cool because in this group, there's all kinds of experiences. There were fathers and brothers. There were people who could fill in blanks for one another. And what I've found is that in a normal church, you should be able to expect to find people who fill in the blanks in your life. So you have people in your life who can teach you how to do money well. Your parents may not have ever taught you about that. In the church, as we're moving towards God and seeking to grow healthier and get better, there are people who can teach you that. Your parents may not have done marriage well. In the church, you should be able to expect to find people who can do marriage well, who could teach you how to do that. Your parents may not have parented well. In the church, you could find people who have parented well, who would be happy to sit down and have conversations with you. You may not know how to lead well, but now you find yourself in a management position. In the church, you could find that. Fathers, mothers who've led, who can teach you how to deal with conflict, how to do spiritual life. I mean, the point is the church really does provide us with a second chance at family, a place to find people who've already done it. We call them fathers and mothers, right? And a place to find people who are currently doing it, brothers and sisters. You can find this in a life group. You can find it at the men's breakfast. You can find it at Zumba on Monday night. You can find it at God Speak next Saturday. Or you could even just go up to someone and say, look, I see that you're, this is going to be tough, but I see that you're older than me. And I have some questions about how to raise kids. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? And that's how it starts. Now, I would just say go slow. Don't scare them by asking them to be your mom, because that's weird, right? Like, move into this slowly. But it's an important part of what the church does for one another. So I would just encourage you to think about your mom and ask your question, what's in there? Like, what's in her heart? What's in my mom's mind? And then make the decision to love her. Have compassion on her and forgive her. And then fill in the blanks in your life so you don't pass that on to your children. So I want to ask you one other question. What about you? What's in there? What's in you? What's in your heart? What experiences are in your mind that you keep revolving over and over? What do you remember? What do you think about when it's dark and quiet? What are those things, those words? Does it help you? Does it hurt you? St. Paul has a word for all of us. If our hearts and minds are filled with unhelpful and unhealthy things, this is what he says to us. Look, he says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he's done. I mean, that's a good place to start, right? God, this is what I need. I need some help in finances, or I need some help in conflicts. I need some help with a job. I need some help with relationships, right? And thank you for what you've done. And then he says this, then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Look at this. And now, dear brothers and sisters, hey, there's that family thing, isn't it? Dear brothers and sisters, let me tell you one final thing. By the way, I grew up in church, and people call each other brother and sister, like Brother Paul, Sister Sherry. Did you guys ever have that? Like, don't do that, because that's weird. I'm not your brother. But I love the idea, right? Like, don't call me Brother Peterson. But I love the idea. It's like this family thing going. Some of you are going to do it anyways, aren't you? I can see. Right. So, dear brothers and sisters, he says, let me tell you one final thing, and this is important. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Like, put these good, positive things in your mind and be processing those. Keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. In other words, Paul says, look, here's what I want you to do. Let me be your spiritual father. If you do the things that I'm doing, if you handle conflict, if you do finances, if you do time management, if you do relationships, if you do it like I'm doing it, God of peace will be with you. This is part of filling in the blanks. Finding that person that you can follow and line up behind and do what they're doing and ask them questions. So, the question again is, what's in there? What's in you? For me, there's a couple people in this room. I'm actually going to call them out. Barb and Jack Higginbotham. Just wonderful people. They've been married over 50 years. Barb and Jack, would you guys just stand up, please? I absolutely adore these two people and spend time with them because they're showing me how to do family in a way I want to do family. They show me how to do life together. I honor them tremendously. And I would encourage you, if you don't know where else to go, talk to these guys, right? I mean, there's a great place to start. Another couple, Jim and Terry Ockenfels. Could you guys stand? Jim. Jim is another person in my life from whom I take a tremendous amount of, he's a wise man, and I've asked him lots of questions, and I'm learning a lot from Jim. He is a spiritual father. Jack is a spiritual father. Barb is a spiritual mother, and there are others. We could go on. The point is, even in this room, there are people from whom we can learn. And I encourage you to find someone that you can approach and begin to say, hey, can you help me fill in some blanks in my life? Now, the thing I want you to do today is for your mom. That one was for you. Do that for you. The thing I want you to do today is for your mom. I want you to say something to her. When you came in, there was a card. It was on your seat. Some of you might be sitting on it. So go ahead and take a minute and put your hand under there, right? And it's a blank card. It doesn't say thank you. It doesn't say Happy Mother's Day. It doesn't say anything. This is a blank card. And on this card, I'm going to ask you to say something to your mom in just a moment. You might be able to just say thank you. You are amazing, and I love you. It was amazing to grow up in your home, and thank you so much for all that you've invested in me. Some of you might be able to write, I never realized the weight that you carried and how it may have impacted you as a single mom. Some of you might need to write something like this. I didn't think about how living in poverty may have shaped the way you parented, or I didn't think about how working 2 jobs may have parented. Some of you might be able to write, thank you for teaching me how to dream big. Some of you might just write, I love you. Some of you might need to write, I forgive you. Now, this could actually be an emotional time for you, and some of you might not want to start right now. Some of you may not be sure where to start right now. So I wanted to show you a video that will give you some ideas of how to get started in this conversation with your mom. And then we're going to take a few minutes to write out notes for a mom, and then we're going to go home, or to Moe's, where every good father will take his wife, right?
When I move out one day, my mom will be very sad.
I feel my mom's love in my heart, like it's right here. I'm feeling it right now.
Sometimes I love her, sometimes I don't. But when I'm angry, I don't.
My mom is everything to me. She just is this ray of energy and sunlight and positivity.
The thing that I wish I could have done more of is thanking her.
Didn't matter what shape I was in, I could always come home to Mom. My mom was basically the glue that held me together.
When I left the Philippines, I knew that my son will be in good hands because I know my mom will take care of him.
My mom is kind of smart, she's not that smart. If I would say like 1 to 10, it would be a 5.
Maybe my poor dad got the raw end of the deal, but I do remember my mother saying to him when there was an argument about something I'd done, she says, you don't want to hurt her spirit. I remember that.
My mom was diagnosed with a really rare disease about 12 hours before she died. So we didn't get a lot of time to to talk or to say goodbye, but she did get to say that she loved me, which were her last words. And I cherish that. Because I've been able to hang on to it.
I'm probably going to say to my mom, "You're a wonderful person. And you're my mentor." I tie an invisible string to my heart, and she ties the same one to her heart, and it's always attached together.
My mother, she struggled a lot with addiction. Sorry, I'm getting upset. Yeah, it was hard.
You know, you have partners, you have friends, you have kids, but there is nobody else who will ever care about you as much.
My son now always tells me, "I love you, Mama." But for 48 years, I realized I didn't say I love you to my mom.
I can think of 3 words. I forgive you.
You were a good mom. You did really good.
Thank you, Mom.
I love you, Mom.
Hey, Chelsea, if moms got paid, how much do you think they should get paid in a year for being a mom?
Maybe $100.
So I want to encourage you to, we're going to put on some Mom's Day music and take this card and at least start to say something to Mom. And some of you may not know how to get to your mom. So write it anyways and take it and do, if your mom has passed away, you could take it to her graveside and read it to her. You could read it to her in a quiet moment. Or some of you may be able to see your mom later today. Take this opportunity to say something to your mom.